Welcome back to Visual Design for Multimedia. We are deep in the world of Mozilla Hubs right now. And today I'm going to just kind of take you through the world of Spoke, which is the online 3D editor for the Mozilla Hubs worlds, right? So you can come to the Mozilla Hub page, click on Spoke. It's going to ask you to log in and create an account via an email address. It'll send you that email, you click on the link, and that's how it logs you in. I don't know why they don't use a login and password. It's just the way Mozilla Hubs does it. So once you're logged in, you'll come to a projects page like this. I have a bunch of projects I've worked on in the past. You can see the UNCW capstone show from last year. We've got some of these 3D worlds that I've shown you earlier based on algae that I've created. And I'm just going to go to an open, actually I'm going to create a new project for you. So I'm going to hit new project, and here's where you can kind of build from. You can either just create a totally empty, like blank project, or you can go ahead and create anything you want here from one of these templates. You'll also notice that there is an import from Blender option, which is kind of cool. So, you know, I'm going back here, bear with me. I'm not going to do the import from Blender right now. I'm just going to go ahead and stick with one of these worlds. I could create a new empty world, but I'm going to go ahead and open up Surrounded Lake. Okay, so Surrounded Lake takes a second to open up. This is actually one of the ones that I used for my algae-based worlds because it had this really nice water, just kind of like above and below water surface that I could play with. So anyway, I am navigating around just with my left mouse button. I'm just kind of panning, and you can't, it doesn't really have a right click option, but I can zoom in and out. I can also use my middle mouse button to pan left right. So this rotates, that's left mouse button to rotate, scroll wheel to zoom in and out, and then middle mouse button to pan left to right. So really easy to navigate the viewport, very similar to something like Maya or Blender, depending on what your 3D platform of choice is. But as you can see in the background, I actually have this whole terrain GLB file that was already loaded into this. So that's a 3D file that's creating this entire, if I zoom way out, it's actually a 3D file of this whole world. It has an above and a below. It's just kind of a mirrored world, which is kind of cool that I can go under the water or above, but it's basically this big crater lake. And then you'll also notice that the water surface itself is another GLB file. So that's a water surface that has had like a nice like water shader applied to it. Other than that, there's not too much in here. There's these things called spawn points that you can create, and these are basically just like you can control when someone enters Mozilla Hubs where they're going to enter from. And that's important because you want them to see something when they first come in. You don't want to like have them like spawn into a blank wall, a dead end, and be like, oh, I can't go anywhere. You want to at least give them a nice view of your world, or if you want them to spawn in the same area where they can see each other, like that one was, you can basically move these guys around. I'm just using the little built-in arrows here to move them up and down, left, right, etc. So there's 4 spawn points here, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's also a floor plan that was added. This just gives like an actual place for characters to kind of stand and walk on. There's God mode you can turn on when you enter Mozilla Hubs by hitting G, but this will actually create a floor for your character. Otherwise, they'll just fall through and go into infinity. There's also a directional light added in right here. You can see it's actually just like an area light in Maya. So this is sending light from the same direction that the sun is coming from, just kind of mimicking that background sky. And then they have added what's called a sky box as well, which is kind of cool. And so you can add something like a sky box, which creates this whole background sky environment with a sunset behind it, which I believe... Nope, that's just a built-in skybox that they have added there, so that's kind of cool. All right, so and on here you can see it's at 4:20 in the afternoon, latitude of 28 degrees. You can control all sorts of different things of the brightness of that skybox. Excuse me, I was trying not to sneeze, but it came out. So you can see as I'm doing that, I'm kind of tweaking the skybox and changing and kind of how everything is lit. But it's the directional light that's actually causing light, at least in that zone of the scene there, and you can see that directional light. I can control color, intensity, whether it casts a shadow or not, etc., etc. So there's a lot we can do in here. You know, I could delete these mountains out. It's just as easy as selecting them and deleting them, and then I have an open world to play with. And there's that sun off in the distance. making a nice reflection across the water shader. I have elements that I can add. I can group objects, so I could grab all of these, I believe, and hit group, and then that would make a group of those objects. Whoop, let me do that again. Group. I can't remember. I think I do have to at least have a few selected. Yeah. I can move these around in my list here. And let's hit group again. Let's see if that does it. Drag and drop into the group hierarchy. Okay, interesting. Well, I couldn't quite do that. So I'll come back to groups later. I always thought groups were selected. And then you could grab them, but as I'm trying to do a group in here, let's see if I can, nope, it just disappears the minute I do it. So I'll come back to groups in a little bit. For some reason that's not quite working the way I thought. But I can move objects around in my list there. I can bring a 3D model in, but you can also, I'll show you in a minute, a better way to do that is to add 3D models to your assets. But you can bring a 3D model in here. If I click on this, you can bring something in from a Sketchfab model URL, and some of these can have animations in them. You can make it so it's collidable, walkable, casts a shadow, all sorts of things like that. So if I wanted to come in from Sketchfab, I could go to Sketchfab, which you can all sign up for a free account. I love Sketchfab, but it only allows you, the free version only allows you to put up like one model a day or one model a week. I can't remember what it is. One of the two. But anyway, let's go ahead and just see some of the 3D models. Let's take a look. Let's see if we can grab any of these and bring them in. All right, let's see if Gower here will allow me to bring this in. So we're going to go ahead and let's see if we can grab it. I might have to be signed in to do this, so bear with me here for a second. There it is, share. Yeah, there it is. I just had to grab the share link, and then I should be able to come in. No animations. Let's see if he comes in. Something it is not happy, so bear with me here for a second. It has definitely seems to have locked up when I tried to bring in that model. Maybe that model was too much for it. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'm going to go ahead and try to save. Nope, not going to let me save. Let's see if that'll do it. Save project. There we go. Surround Lake, save project. I'm getting really tired of it's making me do this recovery all the time, so let me know if you have this problem as well. So bear with me. It seems to log me out a lot. Okay, just got to wait for my email to come. Just waiting for the email to show up. Bear with me. One more second. So sorry for the delay here. Just waiting for this email to pop up. There it is. All right. So, not sure what happened there. I'm going to try and get back in. Yeah, that's interesting. It did not bring in that particular... I do have a camera in here, which is cool, a scene camera. So this is like the view you get when you first look at the hub before you've joined it. I guess that guy just didn't come in the model. Let's try it again. That one didn't quite work that time. Let's make sure we actually still have it here. So let's share that again. It might be that maybe this guy's just not shareable, but I don't know why they would have the share button if it wasn't. Yep, that's it. None. Huh. Well, that guy's not loading properly, but like I said, I rarely do it this way with like a link in. I would rather just upload it myself, so we'll keep going. So we can bring in the ground plane. There's already a ground plane in here, the floor plan we've got going actually, so we're not going to add that. Box colliders we'll talk about later. You can bring in an ambient light, which brings in sort of a sun style light into the whole scene that you can play around with, and you can play with the intensity of it. Like that just made everything a lot brighter. That's sort of like a sun style light from above. 9, I can take it up as high as I want, but I'm going to go ahead and delete that out. You have directional lights, as we've already said, so I could bring this in anywhere I want. And I can move things around with these arrow keys. So just like any other platform, I can choose between rotation. So if I hit R on my keyboard, I can actually rotate these objects around in different ways. There we go, I'm rotating around the directional light. I can also, if I hit T, I can basically change its position, and then Y will scale it. So I can bring that up and then go back to, I'm doing incremental rotations right there, but if I want to, that's doing it because I have snap turned on up here at the top, so I can turn that off and then I can rotate at a much smaller amount. There we go, and get the direction that I'm looking for. You can see how it's lighting up the ground versus the sky as I rotate that downward. Snap allows you to, it is really convenient because it snaps to the grid, and you can do in little increments here, 1 meter, quarter meter, 0.1 meters, all the way up to 4 meter snaps. And you can also do snaps on rotation, 45, 30. So I use snapping a lot, but it's just on by default, so sometimes that's a little bit annoying. You can also, aside from doing the T, R, Y, you can always change them up here with these main buttons up at the top. So I can go to position, rotation, or scale. Also up here at the top left, I can always go back to my projects, and I can also go to File and Save. So Command F to save. It does not do auto save for you, so make sure you save before you leave. So there we go. I'll just save to make sure we don't lose anything. So we've got spotlights, point lights, directional lights, hemisphere lights. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you know, I could bring in a spotlight, which gives me a cone shape, just like light from a more traditional 3D platform. Oh, I got the rotation going in increments again, so let me bring that up. So again, maybe I want a specific light from a specific direction, and there we go. I could tilt it down in the direction that I want and kind of light up the whole area. You can see the spotlight has a whole lot of attributes to it. So I could bring down the cone shape down to a much tighter cone at 20 degrees. You can give different ranges. Again, shadow casting, intensity, color, all sorts of different things. I could make it more of an orange light, light up these guys in different ways. Back up here at the top, so we've gone over that. One thing we can do is we can change positions on things of how we scale them. So like right now, that guy is set up at selection. So if I click on this, I can actually decide whether or not I want to scale from the center of the object, the bottom of the object, or kind of a selection point on the object as I select it. So this is handy again. If I want to scale from the center, I might go to, bear with me there we go. And that's going to scale out from the center versus scaling from the bottom. You can see it's going to scale up like if you had it perfectly on the ground and you just wanted to make that character bigger. You know, you could do that as well. Selection I don't fully understand yet, other than, yeah, I'll have to work on selection because as it is right now, selection just doesn't, oh, there we go. It's wherever you click on the object. Interesting. Okay, so if I go and just kind of select on it there and hit selection, well, I don't know. I'm going to have to work on the selection part of it. That would be nice if we could pick a custom spot of where it's selected from. But at least you have center and bottom for right now, and we'll continue to work on that. This gives you the direction, at least, that these spawn points are looking when they come out, which is convenient. All right, so you can turn that on or off depending on what you want to, I'm going to put it on bottom again, I think. I think that's the most convenient for these particular characters. And then you also have this grid you can turn on and off. Grid is really helpful for making things snap to the grid, because otherwise you can move things around in space and kind of lose track of them. Or I go below the grid and then I'm like, So I can set this grid up and then, I can actually turn snapping on, and then it's going to actually snap to the grid. And then it's going to move around the grid, so I can bring it right up. There it is on the grid now, and it'll snap in increments along the grid, which is really convenient. Not only that, but you can move the position of the grid here, so I can bring this grid up to like 1, and now it's up higher. You can see it's up above the water line. So if I want to bring things up on a certain plane together, up into the sky, or do these stackable things, I can bring this grid up higher and higher. I can bring it up to 3. Now you can see it's like halfway up the body of that big guy. And again, makes it really easy when I go to snap these things. I can snap it right to that. There we go. Now it's up on that higher grid plane. So you can move those grids around. They won't publish the grid in the final piece. This is just sort of an alignment tool to help get everything aligned. You can always turn off the visibility there. Okay? Okay, cool. Bring that back down and bring right up to the level. There we go. Now he's right at the water line there with you. So beyond that, you can set more spawn points. So obviously I could add another spawn and put them wherever I want on the grid there, or wherever I want up in the air. I can also create these things called waypoints. They're slightly colored differently. Not really, they almost look the same thing, but they're areas that allow the viewer to be able to move to. So you can basically go and teleport to these different points, I think by right-clicking, if I remember correctly, and it allows you to teleport to these different areas in your scene. So if you want someone to be able to move around and not have to like use their navigation tools to get around a big world, you can actually have them like teleport to these different waypoints once they're already in a hub. So you can set like almost like viewpoints, or if you want them to go to like key areas to explore, it's kind of like a little shortcut system, so you can designate those. I can add images by bringing in an image into the scene, and I can either upload images, or I can link directly from like a some image that I find out on the web. So if I wanted to, I could go to Google Images. There we go, perfect. Copy link, and let's try putting that in. Of course, it's not loading. Sometimes it's Google has trouble. Let me try this. Most of the time, I would prefer to upload the image myself, but let's just see if we can find another way. Let's just search for any image. Here, I'll go to my own website. Mozilla and Google don't always get along. That's why YouTube videos don't work very well. They'll work for a while, but then they'll start giving you errors because Mozilla or YouTube limits the number of times Mozilla can access. So I end up using Vimeo a lot for my stuff. Of course, the whole internet seems to be going slow today. There you go. Let's pull up one of these guys. All right, let's see if I can bring this image in. Let's grab that image location. Let's see if this will load up now. There we go. So it's just the Google images that weren't working. So now there's my image, and I can place this using those directional tools however I want. And I can even scale that. If I go to Y, I can make that image much bigger. And I can rotate it. You can kind of see it front and back. Obviously it was backwards there. And you can place these images anywhere in your scene. Same thing with a video. I can bring in a video and drop it right here. Let's drop that over there. And scale it up. There we go. And I want to go ahead and put in a different one. So I'm going to go, like I said, I'm going to use Vimeo. Just works better. And I love videos of what you can do in Mozilla Hubs because it has these two modes that a lot of people don't realize. So let's search for animation. All right, let's grab, wrong one I think, but nope, not looking for that one. Let's grab this guy. All right, so I'm going to copy this link and paste it. It won't show up, at least in the oh great, it shows up now. There used to be a bug where it wouldn't show up in the preview, but then it would show up when you go to publish it. So that's great. It's actually showing up now, which is very nice. All right. So right out of the bat, I can decide if I want to make this. Oh, I haven't seen the billboard. This is user in hubs. Oh, cool. So that'll always face the user. That's nice. So you can choose between flat, or you can make it a 360 video, which is kind of fun. And then you can actually, like, you know, mess around in here. I'm going to go ahead and save. And you can actually enter this sphere, which is really fun. And you can see it in 360. It kind of wraps around you like a bubble, and you can see it from the outside or the inside. So I often use these to make these little like viewing areas inside of my hub, which is really fun. So anyway, something you can try messing around with on your own and decide whether you want to have something flat or in that panner mode. Oh, I'm sorry, not panner mode, but 360 equirectangular mode. You can have it autoplay, have play controls on it or not. There's a lot you can do with it. So check it out. I'm going to go back to flat here. Actually, you know what? I'll leave that as so we can see it later. Move this guy over a little bit. There we go. Just so when we enter there, you'll be able to actually see it. Let's see, aside from that, there's a spawner item where you can actually bring an object in. I'll go ahead and bring one in. It just brings in this rubber ducky right now. And you'll see you can actually interact with it and push it around. You can apply gravity to it and have it bounce all around, or just have it float up in the air. It's not a lot beyond that, but you can create a 3D object that people can move around, which is kind of fun. But each time you move it, a new one is spawned in its place. So it's kind of a strange object in that sense, but still kind of fun to play with. And then you can also bring in a link. So you can bring in a link object and just make it link to an outside URL or to another Mozilla hub if you want to make one hub that connects to another. So I could have this say http://www.genefelice.com, and I can make it open up in a link. You can do particle emitters, which are kind of fun. Now I will warn you, particle emitters can be very intensive on the processor depending on, you know, what kind of system people are using to actually connect to your hub. So older computers can have trouble with these. And you can put any image you want into here. So again, I'm going to look for, I'm going to actually go to another image here. Let's see, that's a good one. Copy image location, there's a right click to do that. And if you do it with a PNG, you can actually have things on transparent background. So you can see it's actually like repeating that image over and over into a little particle system, which is cool. And you can control the lifetime, randomness, all sorts of parameters on here. I'll just leave it how it is for now, but you can check those out. There's a simple water. I'm not a big fan of it. It really kind of slowed down the whole system, especially on older machines, but you can check that out. It's actually like a dynamic water that flows like waves. And then there's a media frame, which you can actually put into it almost like a gallery system, and then it makes it easy. It's kind of like a holding frame that then you can drop a video into when somebody comes to actually visit the hub, which is really fun. All right, beyond that, you have your My Assets area. This is an area where you can upload your own files. So I like this because then at any point I can just drop any of these files in here. I can just drag them into the scene. So I have uploaded a bunch of like GLB files, which are through those 3D files that I showed you for making your custom avatars, as well as here's a vector PNG file. So I can go ahead and copy that URL, and then I can go back to my particle emitter, and I can paste that in there, and you'll see now those are all those little PNG images that I've got. So they actually look like they're floating outside of a frame because they have a transparent background, which is kind of cool. I could also bring in, so like here's one of my 3D objects. I can just drag it right into the scene. I think that was like way out there somewhere. Yep, there is a warning on it. It's way too many polygons. And it's really big. It's like way out here. So I'm going to bring it over here. There we go. We'll bring it into the scene. And maybe I want to scale it. This is where you do have to watch quite a bit your number of polygons. So for this one, let's get it on the center on that. Actually, I'm going to scale that down to 1. All right, so lots that you can do here, and like I said, you can upload any of your own files here, which is great. There's also a bunch that it just separates them into 3D models, images, videos that I've uploaded, audio files. There's some of my audio files that I've brought in. If I want to, I can create that audio source and have it playing in the background. And then there's all sorts of stuff that's built in. If you just want to build whole worlds in here, there's this architecture kit with doors and stairs and walls and curved objects. You can build so much just with the built-in 3D stuff in here, which is really fun. You know, if I want to bring in something, I can just drop in an asset and it'll build it. And then there's rock kits where you can have all these different rocks added to the scene. There's stuff from Sketchfab, which will load in all these different files from Sketchfab. There's Google Poly, which unfortunately Google Poly was awesome, and Google decided to end Google Poly as of the end of this month. So you can't really use Google Poly anymore. There's Bing Images. I think they just have a better relationship. Firefox is obviously a competitor of Google Chrome. So you can bring in Bing Images and search for images and videos. Hub sound packs. There's all these different sound effects you can bring in, and some GIFs if you want to bring in animated GIFs, and you can search for ones that are out there as well. So I can always bring in an animated GIF and have that off in my world as well. I'm going to save by hitting Command S. And then if I want to publish this to hubs, I just hit this top button, Publish to Hubs, and I can name it whatever I want. Test World V1. And save and publish. This is all good news. You want these to all be in the low to mid range. If it's high, then you might want to go back and work on one of your models. I'm going to go ahead and publish my scene. Sometimes it takes a minute to publish them. And as soon as this is published, we'll actually be able to enter the world, share a link with others to check it out, and experiment more. Just a few more seconds here, and then we'll be able to publish this. And let's view it. And create a room with it. Here we go. I can join the room. I could always, I believe I can change this to, well, I can change it in there. Oh, I think it's actually maybe under options. Yeah, I'd have to sign back in again. So I'm just going to join it. But I could change the name of the room by signing back in again. Accept, enter the room. That spawn point worked pretty well. It took me right into that 360 world dome. And when I come out, I can start to zoom around. And there we go. I can use a right click to kind of help teleport myself over to some of these other objects. See how it moves me around a lot quicker. And I can see this world up here. Something's not loading up there. I'm not sure what that was. There's one of my links that was the link to my website, so I'm going to go back. That one's not playing for some reason. But you can see lots of us. Oh, here's that spawner object that I can move around, and then it spawns another and another. And because I turned gravity on, they actually kind of like roll around on the floor, which is fun. So you guys can think about making spawner objects. I hope they add more interactivity to Mozilla hubs in the future. You can really launch items with it, which is kind of cool. Oh, one fell through the floor and is going into infinity. You can see it down there going and going and going. I'm not sure what's making those ones kind of fall through. There we go. I guess if I just push it through, it goes through the floor. So, pretty fun stuff. If I right-click on that, that just showed me the object in the distance. I can always chat with people, do all sorts of things like that if I want to. So yeah, lots of different things. I can go to specific objects in my list as well. All the different links and things. That's what that list does up there. So hopefully this gets you started. Experiment. We're going to learn a lot more in Mozilla hubs in future lessons. There's my spawner up there spawning all of those. Again, if I hit G, I can actually fly. That puts me in God mode and takes me up. So I can go above, or I can go down below as well and go down through the water. So that's kind of fun to play around with and see things from underneath. G allows me to do that. Like I said, that puts you into God mode, and you can break all the rules of gravity and floor and everything like that. A lot of people don't realize that. All right, I'm going to stop there. As always, thanks for tuning in, and reach out if you have any questions.